Number 1. Bill Morgan. Let's take Bill Morgan for example. In 1999, Bill was a humble truck driver. Like a lot of us living pay to pay, a caravan as his home. Things took a grim turn for Bill, who was involved in a terrible truck accident and from this event developed a heart condition. Suffering an allergic reaction, the drug prescribed to treat this condition, Bill's heart stopped for 14 minutes. He was eventually revived. He remained in a coma for 12 days, where his family were advised to take him off life support. Not too lucky, you say. Stick with me. Things are about to heat up for Billy Boy. Bill woke up from the coma and recovered fully from that incident. Number 2. Melvin Roberts. When the storm clouds start rolling in around the South Carolina area, make sure you are now near Melvin Roberts. Melvin has been struck by lightning 11 times in the last 12 years. It seems it does not really matter the weather or location. The lightning seems to be drawn to him in sunshine, rain, on the mower, or standing on an undercover porch with injuries and hospital records to back up his claim. Robert also has a collection of watches that don't work. Why? That would be because he was wearing each one at the time of being struck. So they remain a record of the time the world shook for Melvin and lightning cursed through his body. Unlucky, some may say, but with luck on his side, he is still alive to tell his story. Number 3. Martin D. Jones. Martin D. Jones travels the world competing as a cyclist. He also has a sidestep death twice in a 12-month period. In July 2014, Martin was booked to fly on the Malaysian airline flight MH17. He changed his travel plans at the last moment and never boarded this flight. This plane was shot out of the sky and crashed in Ukraine. There were no survivors. Number 4. Michael Holmes. Skydiving is not for the faint-hearted. If you are anything like me, heights of any kind of scared the bejesus out of me. Michael Holmes is not like me. This guy enjoys skydiving with around 7,000 jumps under his belt. When he made another run of the mile routine jump over the Lake Taupo in New Zealand, things didn't go to plan like at all. At 4,000 feet, Michael pulled the cord to his main parachute, which did not fully open. Spiraling towards the earth at the great speed, Michael then tries to release his reserve chute. No luck. In the footage from his helmet came on that day, you see Michael waving goodbye as the earth rushes to meet him. A heavy thud ends the video as he hits the ground. Miraculously, Michael survived, and although suffering a punctured lung and ankle, I would say this definitely is one lucky man. Number 5. Michael Donnelly. It was 1990 in Spain. The Formula 1 race was running on the Jerez circuit. Michael Donnelly was competing for the winning title. Racing in his Lotus 102, Michael lost control and carried into the barrier at 225 kilometers an hour. His Lotus exploding into pieces. Donnelly, still trapped to his seat, was thrown from the vehicle across the track. He survived, with injuries including bruising on his lungs and brain from the violent impact which cracked his helmet, as well as severe breaks to both legs and blood loss. While recovering, he suffered kidney failure and was on dialysis for weeks. After intensive care and a considerable recovery period, Donnelly's only sign that this shocking event happened is a slight limp when he walks. Number 6. Betty Lou Oliver. The Empire State Building in New York City in 1945 was the tallest building in the world. In 1945, a B-25 bomber also crashed into it. It was a violent impact, killing many and leaving a path of destruction. On the 80th floor, just a floor below where the impact was made, Betty Lou Oliver suffered serious burns. As a result of this accident, rescue workers were able to place her in the elevator to send her down to the ambulances that were waiting on the ground level. No one had an idea that the elevator cables were so damaged they snapped, sending Betty Lou on a 75th floor, terrifying free fall to the basement of the building. Betty Lou survived. Twice in a day, she stared death in the face and won. Number 7. Eduardo Lead. Eduardo Lead is working as a construction site. The day is going swimmingly, that is until found he found himself with 1.8-meter metal rod through his head. The rod had fallen from the fifth floor building he was working on piercing his heart that it entered through the back of his skull and then broke through and excited between his eyes. Arriving conscious at the hospital, Eduardo was able to tell the doctors what has happened to himself. A 5-hour surgery ensued to remove the bar. Eduardo escaped becoming paralyzed on the left hand side of his body and losing an eye by just centimeters. Number 8. Fidel Castro. It must be horrifying knowing that there were people who want to kill you. Well, Fidel Castro had many that did, and on many occasions, including the CIA. He survived former lover who was hired to kill him with poison pills, but they melted in her cold cream jar. Comic, yes, effective, no. An exploding cigar that was given to Fidel failed to blow up was another seemingly comical failed attempt on his life. The list is incredible with 638 failed assassination attempts in which many read like a spoof Bond movie. I guess they really didn't did they Fidel? Number 9. Meng Jiachen and Ming Jianyu. Two brothers Meng Jiachen and Ming Jianyu were stranded below ground without food or water when the illegal mine they were working on collapsed. Rescuers gave up trying to find them after a day. Officials said at the time that rescue work was halted after experts determined there was no way that the brothers could have survived. The determined brothers dug through 20 meters of coal and rock with a pick in their hands. In their efforts to survive, they ate coal and drank urine, and they had no food or water. It almost took 6 days, but they managed to break the surface. They survived with kidney damage from lack of water, but no other injuries. Number 10. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. During the World War II, a 29-year-old engineer named Tsutomu made his mark as an extremely lucky person. On August 6, 1945, Tsutomu was in Hiroshima on business. He was just less than 2 miles away from the ground zero when the US dropped the first atomic bomb. This blast killed 80,000 people, but Tsutomu survived with ruptured eardrums and a burned upper torso. After receiving treatment, he returned on his hometown, Nagasaki, and deported from the next morning. On 9 August at 11 am, the US dropped the second atomic bomb on Nagasaki. Tsutomu escaped this bombing with no further injuries. Tsutomu Yamaguchi passed away in 2010, aged 93.